Hey everybody, Rich here. This video is going to deep dive into processes. A process is an entity that runs in response to an event that is triggered. First, you'll select the table that your process will run against, and then we'll start adding steps to this process. When you click Add Step, you'll give it a name. AppSheet will give you suggestions where it will automatically create the processes for you. In this case, we're going to create a custom step. You notice when you've created your step, you'll have different options available for the step. One's to simply run a task, and these tasks can be an email task, notification task, sending text messages, calling webhooks, or even saving files to a file store. Then you have run data action. And these data actions are the same actions under behaviors. To create a new action, you click the drop-down menu and you're able to select from existing actions that can be run against that table, or you can create a new action as well. For more details about these different actions, please see my video on actions in AppSheet. In some situations, you might need to create some branching logic to make some decision based off the value of the data in your table. To do that, you'll click Branch on a condition. You'll now see a branch in your process where you can add additional steps for each result of the branching condition. You can add steps for the two different outcomes for a certain step. To define that condition, you'll enter a formula here. So with this filled in, what this means is AppSheet will assess the value of the status field when the process is running. If it's complete, it will trigger this step on the yes side. If it's not true, the step on the no side will be triggered. And then to define the steps that occur when these conditions are true, you'll click the plus down below each side of the branch. Next, we'll talk about wait for conditions. Wait for conditions are handy if you want the process to pause. You'll place a condition in here to check. And now what AppSheet will do when this process is triggered, it will pause until this condition becomes true. And then you can add additional steps to run when that condition is met. So now we'll look at call a process. As mentioned in the automation overview, call a process is fairly straightforward. This is where you're able to select a process you've already created this process can use. When you're calling a process, you can choose to add a new record to the table that the process is created and then run that process against that record. Or you can choose to target a specific record using the lookup piece. When using adds, you could simply define what fields you want to populate and their respective values by entering a formula as it relates to the table in the current process that you're creating. If you use lookup, you'll need to make sure that you have the key identified in as an input. So for example, the key in this app is task ID, and you'll define that record to be looked up, and then any additional fields you add down below will then update that record accordingly and also run that process that has been selected. Lastly, there's return values. Return values can be placed at the end of any process, and this allows you to define specific variables that can be then passed to additional processes that may be defined in a bot itself. For more details on return values, please see my video on specifying return values and how these work. In the end, you can create some fairly sophisticated branching conditions and logic within your processes you make. You can create multiple branches of actions that each have their own different results that are run. If you have anything specific you want me to dive into, please let me know in the comments below. With that, have a good one.